Here we are. How long you been waiting for this? How long have you been waiting for this? It must feel like in between season 7 and 8 of Game of Thrones, where they're making you wait 2 years at a time. Or even worse, if you're one of those people who's an avid reader of Game of Thrones and you've been waiting for George R.R. Martin to finish this book for like 9 years. We had a pandemic where everything was shut down for 2 years. Everyone's like, no, I'm just going to stay home and work on things. And he couldn't even finish it then. That's probably what it's felt like for all you people waiting for hockey to start, right? Because that's what we were doing here. We were making hockey more popular one day at a time. Can't tell you how many of you messaged me saying, I never watch hockey a day in my life until I found your videos. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure you must love hockey. I'm sure you're going to the local pond when it freezes over and you're playing a game of puck. Now you're here for some sniffs so you can line your pockets with that Coinstar change. But I'm not opposed to it. I'm going to be here to help you out because I looked around and I didn't see anyone who could fill my shoes just yet. But do you imagine that? Forget about April Fools. Imagine I gave you some Halloween Fools where this just started, hey, I'm going to be taking over for Andy this year, but don't worry because I'm going to give you some great sniffs, as they say. Ha I don't think I could ever do that to any of you people. I don't know. Maybe if I win enough, I will do that to all you people. And where will I be broadcasting from? Live poolside at the Bellagio, getting fanned by who? Yes, a bottle wait. Not the hottest bottle waitress, probably like the second or third one. Now remember I told you about the the third most attractive bottle waitress at the pool at the Bellagio because it's going to come in handy for this Pittsburgh-Chicago game. One of 3 games that we got on opening night, and I like that. Give me 3 games on opening night that I can look at, try to find something that I like, a couple treat things that I like, a couple treat games that I like in varying degrees. I got 2, I like those, and 1, I kind of like that. But we'll get to those in just a second because if it's the opening day, I'm obviously going to give you the opening deal, which is Bet365. You deposit 10, you bet 5, get 150. Wait, that's a lot of steps. So say that again. Deposit 10, click deposit, $10. That's what you're putting in there. Bet 5, and you'll be credited with $150 in bonus bets courtesy of Bet365. You got to be a new user over there, and you got to be located in a state that actually has Bet365. But if you're in Canada, I know I got my Saskatchewan pack back. That's a fake thing. I never said that once last year. But check in the link in the description of this video. There's a link for Canadians, a link for Americans. Keep us separate. No, that's not true. Speaking of Vegas, speaking of bottle girls, speaking of Canadians, every time I was in Vegas, never met an unattractive Canadian. And it really made me think, how is it that I went to college in Boston and everyone made the excuse, oh my God, well, it's the Northeast. It's cold up here. You're obviously going to get, you're not going to get people like in Southern California. Well, then what the hell is the deal with all of Canada, most of Iceland, most of Sweden? No, I'm sorry, Upper New England. You just need, you know what? That's a battle for another day. Like I said, Bet365, deposit 10, bet 5, get 150. But if you got a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER, or you could even text 1-800-GAMBLER. They actually got that now. I really enjoy that because sometimes I don't want them to hear my voice. I would be tempted to use like the scream voice changer, like, hello. I'd much rather text because I can also envision somebody I don't mind texting. I know that's a ridiculous concept. If you showed me someone's face, I think I can make a better decision on if that's the person I want to talk to if I call anywhere. Anyway, we got 3 games. I guess I'll start with the one that most people are probably talking about. We got Connor Bedard's first game in the NHL. People probably going wild, betting hat tricks, everything of this sort. I can give you a Connor Bedard bet, but first I'll just remind you that this Penguins team, who I'm not a fan of for this season, they're relying on 38-year-olds around the board. They're like the Kardashians out there, still running them out there in prime time, but everyone's 35 and older, even though, they got a couple youngins. They got the Kylie Jenner and the Kendall Jenner. That's like Gensel and players like that. But for the most part, this team is relying on a core that's 35 and older. So for the year, I'm not as high on them as sportsbooks and whatnot. But on this night, Take it from an old guy. You want to know when an old guy feels really good? Night one. Everything's working. The joints are good. And it's opening night for these old men. And they're playing the team who eliminated from the playoffs. But I thought they didn't make the playoffs. Yeah, because they lost their last home game to the Chicago Blackhawks. Think they want to win this one for the fans? Think the fans will be thrilled if they lose to the Blackhawks in back-to-back games? Or the worst team in the NHL screwed them out of the playoffs without Patrick Kane even. This was the stripped-down Blackhawks. You gotta think they're going to take out some of those frustrations on these Blackhawks. You gotta like Pittsburgh in this one. But they did lose that game with everything on the line. Just a reminder, in the NHL, things can go wild. But I have a hard time believing that on this night, opening night, that they're going to lose in front of their home fans against that same team. I'm going to take Pittsburgh to win, and anytime Pittsburgh wins, I never mind combining that with a Sidney Crosby assist. I could foresee him getting an assist in this game, but if there are some other things, I got different options if an assist is too much for you. I also keep a eye on Jake Gensel's status. He's 50-50 for the game, but if he doesn't play and they elevate Russ to top line, top power play status, you guys remember? I'll remind you of some of the theories, but this is what life is. This is what hockey is. This is what sports betting is. It's got to be an accumulation of all your knowledge through the years. Okay? You can't be rigid. So all the little minor adjustments we made along the way last year, those will be applied to everything this year. But I always stand by the trickle-down theory where, okay, this guy's out of the lineup, this guy's promoted to the top power play, he gets it. That's the trickle-down. If I'm getting a good price on him, I'm going to take him. So keep an eye on Gensel. If he doesn't play, you can take Rust for a point. And on the other side of the puck, you want to know what I'll take for Connor Bedard. When a player is young and he's gripping his stick tight, he just wants to release that energy. How can you do that? With a nice shot on goal. I think he'll get some pucks to the net. And I also think his teammates will try to feed him because this guy is the centerpiece of this team. It's not like they have Stanley Cup aspirations. I think that they will be doing what they can to involve him as much as possible. And you know he's going to get top power play minutes and everything like that. I imagine he'll throw a couple towards the net. I will take the over 2.5 shots on goal for Bedard. And who's his teammate? It's the third hottest girl at the pool party. It's somebody that would be mediocre in Arizona or Southern California or Texas, but she'd be attractive, or he would be attractive in a little obscure town outside Indianapolis. This is Taylor Hall. In the NHL, so many times we'll see a team or see a player go from a team where he's the 9th hottest bottle girl. He's on the 3rd line. But you got someone like Taylor Hall, who is in the bottom half of Boston's roster just because they had so many talented players, now is going to see himself getting top line minutes, top power play time. He's going to be playing with Bedard. All the opportunities are going to be there. I've seen guys like this my whole career, including on that very team last year. You had Max Domi playing alongside Kane, raking up points. Where was he the year before that after the trade deadline? On Carolina's 4th line. Gets first line minutes on a bad team, raking up points, gets traded at the deadline to Dallas, where he promptly returns to the 3rd line and who he truly is. Although Hall is better than that. I would say Hall's a 2nd line player, but he's going to get ample opportunities, ample time on the power play at even strength, playing with Bedard. I'm going to take Taylor Hall, the 3rd hottest girl at the Bellagio, to register a point against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Then down over there in Tampa, where people, it's a little bit of doom and gloom. We got no Vasilevsky into December. So people are thinking, oh my God, I remember when Nashville, how they ended. They were really good ending the year. I think they might. This is my upset of the night. Not so fast, Jack. Where does that come from, by the way? I've asked people many times, hey, and that's a fact, Jack. Who's Jack? And where does that saying come from? You don't know Jack. And that's a fact, Jack. Even in Seinfeld, remember the guy with the toupee? Love, it's good for you, Jack. Why is Jack this term? Anyway, in Tampa Bay, they're playing this Predators team who is stripped down. They traded most of they got rid of Johansson in the offseason. They obviously lost Duchesne. They're lingering there with Forsberg, and I think they brought in O'Reilly, they're rebuilding. It's known that they're rebuilding, but wherever Barry Trotz goes, as soon as he walks in the door, the same team all of a sudden will be playing better defense. We saw that towards the last part of the season, the final third of the season. They were a tough out every single game, especially because UC Soros, if it was a final third trophy, he would win the final third Vezina. He was the best goalie in the NHL in that final third. He was incredible. Want to know why I'm not worried about that? The same reason I'm not worried about any single goalie in the NHL throughout the month of October, because goaltending is a mental game. You have to find your way into that Vezina level goaltending. You remember Bobrovsky? He found his way into Vezina level goaltending, and then after a sweep and he didn't play for 2 weeks, what the hell happened? Yeah, that's right. Everything under the sun went in on him. And now there's been a full off season. I never care about goalies. So just know that for this first month, don't be scared to bet against Sorokin, Shesterkin, you name it. I refuse to believe that they will be playing their absolute peak best in October. Just something to let you know why, even if Vasilevsky was in, out, he wouldn't be a major deciding factor for me earlier in the season. Another big factor earlier in the season is that these refs will always call a ton of penalties. I think in October, you're getting power play after power play every single game. And what do we know about this Lightning power play? Year after year after year after year after year. As long as those big 3/4 are there, it's going to operate as a top 5 power play. The chemistry they have is unbelievable, and power play chemistry, whether it's the Leafs, Lightning, any team who has the same core of highly skilled players together, will roll that over from year to year. As long as you got the Stamkos, Kucherov point with mostly Hedman, he'll be starting in this game, you're going to be nasty. You ever hear of the term addition by subtraction? Yeah, well, they lost the one detriment that I always had on that team, and that was Alex Killorn, a guy who scored a grand total of 0 goals the entire playoff run from opening round straight through the Stanley Cup final. Well, he's off the team, and he was on their top power play unit. And I know he scored a couple times in those games in the playoffs last year against the Lightning. But anyway, who's going to be replacing him? You want to talk about trickle-down points? Big blank Nick Paul will be taking that spot over. I wasn't able to locate his over on player, but I couldn't find it. But if you find it wherever the hell you are, that's one that I would take, expecting them to score 1 or 2 power play goals on this opening night. So if you can find Nick Paul to register a point, I got no problem with that. The same way, I have no problem with Point registering a point for that same reason, because that power play is lethal. He's a key part of it on the zone entries. And on top of that, it looks like they're going with the ultra stacked top line to start the season. Most of last season, we saw Hagel play with Point and Kucherov. Looks like they're throwing Stamkos on that line. So if you're giving me that super stacked top line at home when they get to have last change and just get that subtle little, matchup that they want, after whistles and whatnot, I'm going to take that. So give me Point to register a point, but it's minus 260. Yeah, that's because I like the Lightning to win this one. Yes, I know. The Lightning and Pittsburgh, I don't believe it's going to be great years for either of them, but it's opening night against teams that I think that they should win against. And home openers, there should be good energy in those buildings. So give me those 2 favorites. Are you going to go down the list with favorites? No, I'm not, because I am not ready yet. The PTSD isn't ready to kick in with the cockroach Kraken. And you never know. You've won the Stanley Cup. You can get blasted on opening night. Nobody's going to care. So this one could go either way. I mean, there's much more for Seattle to actually play for. But you want to know what I love about Seattle? Their point total prop for the year is like 92, which means they played great and they gave a great run in the playoffs, but they don't trust that they're going to be a playoff team, because 92 most of the time doesn't get you in. And that brought a little smile to my face. Hopefully they go under on that. Oh yeah, I'm not ready to let it go yet until we find a time to bet the Kraken on the right night. I'm not going to take a side in that game. But one thing that I loved about the Golden Knights was after they traded for Barbashev, they found some nice lightning on that top line. Great chemistry between Barbashev, Marchessault, and Jack Eichel. I imagine that Jack Eichel is going to have his best year as a Golden Knight, because that first year was rusty, hadn't played in a long time, the surgery. Then he started to get acclimated last year, tried to play as much of the season as he could. Now, after playing a full playoff run, winning the cup, contributing big time in that playoff run, I think the shackles should be off, and he should be a major contributor and come closer to that Buffalo form that we haven't seen him truly find yet. But anyway, for this game, give me Barbashev to register a point. Love the opportunities there with him playing alongside Eichel and Marchessault on that top line. That is what I have for you on opening night. A lot of stuff in there, a lot of good stuff, a lot of information packed. Hopefully that's what you got. You got information, entertainment, and everything in between. Good luck to you. Better luck to me, just in case you forgot. Make sure you're subscribed to the Odd Shopper channel here, because who knows? Am I going to start right back at number one? Is that how it worked? Because last year, you went to YouTube, typed NHL bets, it'd be my mug right there. But now, we've been gone like Rodman on one of his Vegas escapades. Are we just going to show right back up here? Well, that's only going to happen if you like this and you comment on this, you tag somebody, do whatever you need to do. I would very much appreciate it. Then, like I asked you last year, I had a goal last year. I'm like, you guys, you're going to help me get to 10,000 Instagram followers, and it just never happened. Like most of the things in my life, I put the energy out into the world, and the book, The Secret, says if you put it out there, it will come back to you unless it doesn't, and that's what happens, but you guys can still make that happen. On all social media platforms, it's at Andy Francis, the same way you see it on the bottom left corner of your screen right now. It would mean a lot to me. I appreciate it. I'm fighting this algorithm until I die. I will be back with you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.